going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, the latest physique update from Hadi at under 7 weeks out from the 2024 Mr. Olympia. And this is an interesting one because he's showing off the improvements that he's made to his back. And I think when you saw him at the Arnold Classic, the UK and the US, he even had noticeable improvements there from how he looked at the Olympia to his back. Some added density, some added size, added width. And that was a pretty short period of time between the Arnold and the Olympia. And now looking at him in this 7 weeks out update where you've had all these months between the Arnold and this Olympia, I think you can see even more improvement. I think he looks even wider here, even denser here, especially in that lower lat area. He looks thicker than he used to. And obviously, the goal of this is to make him more competitive with Derek Lunsford, because arguably Derek's best poses are from the back. And if you look at him side by side with Derek's latest posing video from the back, which I believe was about a week ago, so there is about a week difference in these two updates, so just bear that in mind. While Hadi does look improved, I think Derek is still going to be very hard to beat from the back. But I think Hadi being more competitive from the back gives him better odds of winning his title back. Because frankly, I think most of you guys would agree that at least from the back at last year's Olympia, those poses were blowouts for Derek. I don't think anybody, whether or not that decision people agreed with, disagreed, some people thought Hadi should have won, some people thought Samson should have won, whether or not you agreed with Derek winning, I think most people agree, and the general consensus is that those back poses for Derek were hands down his poses. He won those without much discussion. But if Hadi can close that gap a little bit this year and make it closer in the back poses, even if Derek is still better from the back and still wins those poses, if Hadi is able to close that gap a little bit, and we know that a lot of people agree that Hadi's dominant from the front, especially in the biceps, especially in the condition through the chest and shoulders, I think that's where Hadi really strengthens that argument for him potentially winning his title back. But on the other hand, it's also worth considering that both of these guys are working with Hani Rambod, arguably the greatest coach really in the history of bodybuilding. So it's not like Derek's not going to have made improvements as well. And if Derek improves what I just mentioned earlier, the striations through the chest like Hadi has, if Derek comes in really conditioned from the front and has those deep separations in the chest, and maybe his biceps are a little bit more pronounced and a little bit more cut, maybe he'll take an even more dominant victory this year. But with Derek, I think the bicep thing is more of a genetic thing, just the shape of the heads of his biceps, and I don't know how much can really be trained to improve that. Hadi's got, much more peaked biceps, and as a result, they're much more defined. But we'll see. I'm certainly impressed with what we're seeing from Hadi Choopan here. I think he has definitely brought up his back. I think it's very noticeable. I think it was noticeable even at the Arnold, like I said. And I still think that this year the battle is going to be between Derek and Hadi for those 1 and 2 spots. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you have Derek or Hadi winning the 2024 Mr. Olympia, or somebody else? And one guy that's been in that conversation as the somebody else is Samson Dauda. And I saw recently on his Instagram stories, Samson Dauda was asked a question about Nick Walker where I felt he gave a very good diplomatic response.
What's about Nick Walker out of top 5? Who said Nick Walker's out of top 5? You know what? You guys need to stop trying to stir up beef between athletes. It's very stupid and very shallow and low. Nick Walker is one of the best bodybuilders on the planet right now. He's absolutely freaking unreal. And you had the nerve to actually try to tell him, predict where he's going to be based off what? Stop this staring shit, because I don't fall for it. I find it very stupid, so no.
And the question was, what are your thoughts on Nick being outside of the top 5 at the Olympia? And he basically says Nick's one of the best bodybuilders on the planet. Never count him out. And I think that was an interesting and good response from Samson, because I think Samson is the guy that a lot of people have placing ahead of Nick Walker if he's able to put it together in terms of conditioning. And I've said this before, I feel that Samson is a bit of a wild card. While it looks like he's made very visible improvements, especially to his back as well, to his credit, I think the whole coaching thing is the wild card factor here, whether or not he's going to bring the conditioning necessary to rival, like I said, a guy like Hadi or even a guy like Nick. I mean, Nick has been known for bringing really incredible conditioning to the stage, even if the New York Pro wasn't his best showing or his most conditioned package. Nick is known for bringing very competitive conditioning. And with Samson, that's kind of the question. The coaching, the situation with Milos, the situation with oxygen, him working with his wife for this prep. And again, not discounting his wife's capabilities. I'm sure she is capable, but we really haven't seen what that will yield at the top level, him just working with his wife, because all the best versions of Samson that we've seen were him working with Milos and apparently his wife also. So we don't really know at the top level, at the Olympia level, what Samson working with his wife and not Milos at all is going to look like on the Olympia stage. So it's a bit of a wild card. But I think one thing that we can all agree on is that Samson has brought up his back and his hamstrings too. In that posing video from the back, I was really impressed with the separation in his hamstrings for 7 weeks out. And I guess that would be the second question for you guys in this video is who do you think is going to place higher between Samson and Nick at the Olympia this year? Now, next up in the news, the latest physique update from Vlad Suharuchko, who apparently is also working with the same coach as Neckzilla, Fran Espen. And in this post, Vlad doesn't specify how many weeks out he is from competing. I'm assuming, based on the condition he's in here, based on the fact that he's working with Fran, who's also working with Neckzilla, I think Vlad will probably end up doing the Italy show as well. You've got Italy and UK. Those are the last two opportunities. Vlad has done a lot of those European shows in the past, especially out towards Italy. Or maybe he even does both, but he does still need his Olympia qualification. I'm assuming that's what he's still trying for, is to qualify last minute for the Olympia. Vlad's best placing this year being second at the Chicago Pro, right behind Mo Fuda, who took his first victory there. Where conditioning-wise, Vlad looked really good. He doesn't have the prettiest physique, the most aesthetic structure, but it'll be interesting if you see both Hunter and Vlad go up against Neckzilla at this Italy show. And maybe, they could both out-condition him and possibly both beat him at that show if he's not in shape. And again, we're just presuming here that that's the show that Vlad is doing. It's going to be an interesting show. And speaking of the Italy Pro, we've got another physique update from Hunter Labrada. I was really impressed with this one because I would like to see more open bodybuilders hit the crucifix pose, the very first pose that Hunter is doing in this series of physique updates. And again, the Italy show is not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, next weekend. But I really like the crucifix pose on Hunter's physique, and I feel like, lately, over the past couple of years in these open bodybuilders posing routines, we've seen them incorporate more classic poses into their routines. But I still don't see a lot of crucifix poses in open bodybuilding. I feel like it'd be cool to see more, at least in the routines. Again, it's not a mandatory pose or anything, but I think there's a lot of open bodybuilders that have the arms and the taper that it would be a really impressive pose for them. And just from a fan's perspective, I think it'd be really entertaining to see more guys hit it. And you can see Hunter hitting it here, looking really impressive. And I personally still think, based on all the updates that we've seen from Hunter, he is by far the favorite to win that show in Italy, even over Rubiel. He looks really, really impressive, and I think the conversation even needs to be had when he does qualify for the Olympia. I think he's got a shot getting back in the top 6. And it may be premature to say that, having not seen him on stage yet, but he looks really impressive in these updates. And I think he's really going to be in the mix this year. And the final story that I've got for you guys today, another guy that I feel will be in the mix, probably in that same realm of Hunter Labrada, Andrew Jack, Nick Walker, kind of in that same placing range. Martin Fitzwater, we got some recent updates from him today. Again, we're under 7 weeks out from the 2024 Mr. Olympia. I think he's a guy that's going to surprise a lot of people based on how he pushed Nick Walker in New York, how good he looked when he won the Detroit Pro. He was really one of the most impressive guys to me, most improved guys that we saw compete this year. I think he really made a statement with the improvements that he made, the condition that he brought. There's no doubt in my mind that if he brings that same level of conditioning from Chicago, from New York, or better, he's going to be in the top 10. And if he's like significantly improved and even more conditioned, I really think Martin could find himself fighting for a top 6 spot. I think he was really, really good this year. And especially in an era like right now where you're seeing these shorter guys, Derek and Hadi, dominate open bodybuilding. They're short, very complete, and very conditioned guys. Nick Walker is another example of that. And I think Martin is very similar to those guys in terms of why he is doing so well. And even back before this season, I think this season, obviously, he made a ton of improvements, looked way better than he ever looked. All-time best version of Martin. Even back when he did the Texas Pro, either a year or 2 years ago, not this year, he was second to Andrew Jacked, pushing, well, Andrew Jacked won pretty decisively, but he was second to Andrew Jacked at that Texas Pro. Andrew Jacked being significantly bigger, significantly taller, but Martin was still right there even back then before he made these significant improvements. So I'd be interested to see him in a call-out with those taller guys at the Olympia this year, with Andrew Jacked, with Samson Dauda even, if he does end up placing that well, and where he's in a call-out like that. I just think he's going to end up surprising a lot of people. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And that's going to wrap up the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NICKS&P, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.